Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you today. I have the honor and the challenge to try to explain in a very brief period of time the world of Alibaba, the complexity of Alibaba, and try to make that a little bit simpler and easier to understand, at the same time touch on the fascinating opportunity and challenges of going to China with your brand and your products. So jumping right into that. Now, I apologize if some of the things I tell you are already well known. I'm going to be talking about the growth in China, and probably no one in this room is unaware of the growth of China, but I can't resist, nonetheless, to talk a little bit about it. And this slide tries to make it a little more easy to understand just the sheer scale of the growth of the consumer market in China. So if we think of it this way, in the 5-year period from 2016 to 2020, China consumer market will grow by the same size as the entire UK consumption. So think about this. China is very large now. UK is also large. They are both growing. But China is going to grow so much in that 5-year period that they're basically adding another UK on top. That is the scale of what is happening in China. And what is driving this? Where is all this coming from, this growth? There's many factors. I'll talk about a little bit of them today. But two of the key ones are that people are able to buy so much more in China. There's so much more products available, and there's so much demand for these products that is driving a huge growth in spending. Many people don't know the savings rate in China, so savings measured as a percentage of GDP, is almost 48%. This is double the savings rate of the global average. So not only is there much more money available to the Chinese consumer, but they have been saving it twice as much as the average consumer outside of China, which means there's a lot of pent-up demand and opportunity to buy products that have become important to the Chinese consumer. Chinese consumers in 1970, this picture I think helps to sort of put it in perspective. Between 1970, let's jump forward to today, these two pictures really kind of tell the picture. In this incredible 30-year period, I don't think in the history, I don't want to exaggerate, but I cannot think of a period in the history of mankind where in the shortest period of time, a group of consumers have gone through such an incredibly dramatic development. From a period of time when there was very little differentiation in the product's availability, a scarcity of products, no actual branded products, jump forward to today, the Chinese consumer, the young Chinese consumers in these pictures, are some of the most demanding, differentiating, difficult to please, and constantly evolving their taste consumers in the world. That may seem like, well, all right, that's interesting, that's changed so quickly, what does it mean to me? But think about the UK in 1970. We could show a picture of the UK in 1970. The hairstyles would also look different. The clothing would also look different. But do UK consumers in 1970 had a certain quality of life, a certain availability of products that is not that different to today relative to where they were living. They didn't have smartphones, the cars looked different, the clothing looked different, but there was a quality of life in the UK that was not that different. The parents of today's generation, this does not apply in China. The parents of the generation today did not have these opportunities. The generation today, not only do they have them, but they're quickly demanding more and more and more in a very differentiated and very demanding way. China is large, and the internet in China is very large. So as you can see here, 731 million internet users in China out of a population of about 1.3 billion. To try to put that in perspective, that is basically the size of the population of Europe. Europe, 743 million. So basically, all of Europe is online in China. It's more than twice the size of the population of the US. So if you go back to when Alibaba was founded, 1999, internet penetration in China was less than 1%. It was about 15 million people. That was roughly, actually, in absolute numbers, the same number of internet users here in the UK. Jump forward now to 731 million, 53% internet penetration. But in the UK, we actually have 92% internet penetration. So not only is China huge in the number of internet users and online buyers, but it has also got a long way to go, only at 53% versus 92% here in the UK. So if I think of trying to put that into a message, China is huge, the opportunity is huge, but there's also a great deal of growth still coming. Marketplaces in China, from a retail perspective, in terms of our topics for today, is a very different place. In the UK, in Europe, in the US, it is very common to basically say, I need to have a good online channel to complement my offline channels, to offer my target consumers the best possible shopping experience, i.e. omni-channel, that I can do. The role of my own website plays a critical role. I will invest a lot of money and time in building the capability of my online channel. In China, that is not relevant, because in China, that is not where the consumer goes to buy. The consumer in China goes to the marketplaces. So if we look at the UK here on the left, I didn't put on the names and numbers here because I don't want to focus on that, but this would be the usual people, usual companies we know, who are the main retail sites here in the UK, Amazon, Tesco, and other very important and very successful retailers and their online business. But as you can see in China, that's 1, 2 players basically covering the whole thing. Why? Because that's where the consumer goes. The consumer wants to buy an Apple iPhone. The consumer wants to buy a particular kind of food or another product or even a car. He will not go to the website. I won't say never. That's simply not top of mind. He will go to a marketplace because he assumes that's where I'm going to find the best offering for this product. Alibaba is a company that's been around since 1999. If you don't know exactly what Alibaba does, please don't worry about it. I have known Alibaba since 2006 when I was at Yahoo, and Yahoo invested their best investment ever in Alibaba. So I've been following Alibaba since 2006. I've basically been living in the online world for many, many years. And nonetheless, when I joined the company a year and a half ago, I didn't actually know what Alibaba exactly does. So if you don't know, don't worry about it. Hopefully at the end of my speech, you will have a better idea. Why is that the case? Because we're so used to there being one website. There's one Amazon. There is one Tesco. There is one eBay. There is one basically .co.uk for every great brand in this country. There's not one real .Alibaba. There is Alibaba.com, our first site. That's just one of many, many websites we have and one of many, many platforms. So I'm going to give you a taste of the complexity to try to then simplify it. But important to know, in all this complexity, we actually have one single mission, which is to make it easier to do business anywhere in the world. This is what we're about. This is what we get really excited about. We started off as a B2B listing company, a bunch of young people in a small provincial city in China who did something that every great startup actually does, in my opinion, without realizing it. They took a technology that they'd heard about, figured about, started testing, and said, this technology, I can use this technology to make something better. A business opportunity better, a consumer experience better, a shopping experience, a technology experience. I can use this technology to make the world a better place in some way, shape, or form. This is what all great startups have done. No great startup was launched to make a lot of money. No great startup was launched to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to grow really fast, and I'm going to sell it for lots of money. That has happened a lot. There's people who've gotten into the startup business to do that, but none of the great startups. The great startups were all founded by people who are passionate about using technology to make the world a better place. In our case, it was being able to enable young Chinese entrepreneurs to set up businesses and sell their products anywhere in the world easily. And that would have been unheard of. Until then, only big companies in China were able to do this. Not some small 2 to 3 mom and pop shop startup suddenly selling their products all over the world. But our first website, Alibaba.com, did exactly that. We have stuck to that as our theme, but we have broadened our scope into so many different areas. Perhaps first, just our numbers. We are very proud of our success. We're very proud of what we've been able to achieve. if you go through the numbers, 485 billion annual GMV. This is our gross merchandise volume. This is not our revenue. This is the value of the products sold by our partners on our platform. 10 million active sellers, 443 million active buyers across all of these different platforms. Some of these are B2B buyers, some are B2C, C2C, et cetera. 57 million packages every day. We don't actually deliver any of these packages ourselves. This is not what we're about. We do not own our own warehouses and trucks and airplanes and other things. We're a company that likes to work with other partners. Something that's so important, I think, for many of the topics we're talking about today. To work with partners, I need standards. I need to know if I do it this way, is it going to fit into that system? If I'm investing money in this kind of standardization, will others pick it up? This is why I'm very happy to be here today at this event, because this is very important to how we work. We don't want to create our own world. We want to work with partners. For that, you need standardization. We have, on any given day, about 1 billion products and service listings. So I mentioned that we're complicated. This slide is going to show you that complexity and at the same time try to make it a little bit simpler. So we started as a B2B commerce company. These are our core commerce businesses. You can see here on the left. We started with Alibaba.com. We have things like Taobao. Taobao is the largest C2C platform in the world. We set up Taobao simply actually as a defensive mechanism when eBay entered into China. And it ended up becoming, from a defensive maneuver, it became a big pillar of our business. But then we started noticing that Chinese consumers were coming in and searching for brands. They didn't want simply a normal C2C offering. They wanted the brand. They wanted the quality of the brand, what I was discussing before about the Chinese consumer developing, growing in their taste. So we said, we need a sort of a brand mall, Taobao Mall. Taobao Mall became Tmall. Tmall is now the largest B2C platform in the world. And then we noticed for a lot of companies, it's very difficult to set up a business in China. To be on Tmall, you have to have a business in China, a team, a license, the whole thing. And companies would come to us and say, we'd like to be in China, but we can't go through all that complexity. That led us to setting up Tmall Global. So as you can see, we don't actually think of these things ahead of time and then set up a business. We don't have a business plan to say we're going to create this new business. What we have is many different platforms. We have consumers and businesses active on the platforms, and they start doing things. They start searching for more, doing more, buying more, certain categories, certain methods, and then we say we need to react to that opportunity because we want to make it easy for people to do business. So almost all of our business units have been founded because of some kind of activity on one of our existing business units leading to that opportunity. So this is our core commerce area. We're also quite significantly invested in the mobile media and entertainment area. Up here on the middle left, Youku To-Do. This is sort of the YouTube of China. This is where people go to view videos. So for us, it's very important, for example, this is where branded advertising takes place in China, where a brand has ability to really communicate their branding message in a branded type atmosphere. UC Web, this is the #1 mobile web in China. The internet in China, we don't have time to talk about that in detail today, but let's put it this way. The internet in China is mobile. It is the smartphone. It is not the desktop. I like using a desktop computer. I like a big mouse and a keyboard. That's my generation. But that's not how it works in China. In China, it's all about the smartphone. 82% of our GMV on our recent shopping day, Double 11, came through a mobile device. Local services, Kubei, Didi, these are driving services, transportation services, delivery services, areas like that. And then we have our foundational services here at the bottom. One is Alipay and Financial. And Financial is actually a separate company. We say we have the same heritage. It is a company that we spun off from Alibaba. It is the #1 mobile payment system in China, as some of you may know. I'm very happy. Last week I was in China. I managed to open a Chinese bank account. And now I myself can finally experience Alipay in the real way. And I can tell you, it's addictive and it's amazing. I have never had so much fun spending money because it is so easy. You don't use a wallet. You don't use cash. You don't use a credit card. You take out your phone, and I can give a friend on the street, want to give him $20, I own $20, push a code, he's got $20. Oh, I owe somebody, I need to pay my rent. I don't have to go home and fill out a form. I need to pay my rent, boom, 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 paid my electricity bill. You need a loan for pay for dinner? No problem, boom, 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 here's the money. It all takes seconds, all on my smartphone. It's a very, very seamless experience and device. Logistics, I mentioned before, 57 million packages a day. We don't actually do that ourselves. We have about 1.4 million people in China active every day delivering our packages. They are not our employees. We work with many, many different companies to enable that to happen. Alibaba is our big data and marketing platform, very important for how we help partners with their marketing and branding. And final, perhaps our ultimate foundational area, cloud computing. We are one of the major cloud players globally. It's very important for us. Like many things we've done, we created this because we needed it. We needed the ability that cloud offers us for our own growth, for our own speed, for our own scalability. Once we built it that well, we realized actually this is something we can provide to our partners. And again, made a very nice full circle. It's a great solution for helping others make it easy to do business, because the cloud enables you to do pretty much anything. There is no cloud product. People often ask me, Terry, what's a typical cloud product? There is no typical cloud product because the cloud enables you to do anything. Anything you could do with software and hardware, you can do with the cloud. So that's the complexity. Let me try to bring it back to the simplicity. One of our most famous promotions, Double 11, I mentioned it before, every year, a big sales promotion we do. This past year, we managed to do $17.8 billion in gross merchandise volume within 24 hours. As I mentioned before, 82% of that through a mobile device. You have to think about how this happens. It's every few hours the promotions change. People are so excited about this. People stay up all night, husbands and wives, tag team, sleeping on the sofa so they don't miss some of these offers. It's a buying frenzy. It's great for us. It's one of the things we're famous for, but it's, it's really just one of many, many promotions we do, many ways we enable our brands, our partner brands, to connect with the Chinese consumer in a compelling and exciting way. We have many brands. We're very proud to be working with so many great brands here in the UK and elsewhere. We see part of our mission is, again, to help those brands connect with the Chinese consumer, to make it easier to do that. In closing, this is a beautiful picture, and I'm going to give you a quote from our chairman and founder, Jack Ma. All of us who work in the company have actually heard Jack say this, and I can't say it the way he does, but I want to share it with you anyway because it's kind of indicative of how Alibaba is really quite a unique company. We have a culture that is partly, I would call it typical Chinese. The other half of our culture is completely non-typical Chinese. It actually feels to me much more similar to many of the companies that I've worked with in the past, Amazons and Yahoos of this world. The mixture can be confusing if you don't familiar with one or either of those types of corporate cultures. Jack likes to say, today is difficult. Tomorrow is much more difficult. This is the non-typical part. Don't want to say today's difficult, but tomorrow's going to be good. It'll all be good. No. Tomorrow is more difficult. But the day after tomorrow is beautiful. So we are optimists, but we do see there's a lot of hard work to do. There's a lot of hard work to do today. There's even more hard work to do tomorrow. And again, it's a topic for today, the work of being able to create global standards. Dame Fiona from Nestle was mentioning before the importance of traceability and trust. These are key topics for us also. Trust is the most valuable thing we as a company have. We have created great trust with consumers, with companies, with brands, with NGOs and government organizations. And this is how actually we have succeeded, by creating trust with all of these different stakeholders in China. My job, the job of my team, is primarily actually to be building trust here in the UK, in Europe, with these same groups, with great brands, with great companies, with organizations such as where we are today, with SMEs, with consumers. And it's a long-term journey, and that's what comes back to Jack. I've never worked at a company where we are so focused on certain short-term goals, but always with that long-term vision driving it. And this picture, I think, is a very apt way of expressing how we see it. It's a lot of challenging curves, a lot of challenging things, but it's a beautiful journey, and it's a journey that we really enjoy doing with our partners together. Thank you very much.